So thanks everyone for joining today's webinar on There's No Such Thing as Slow Season with AutoVitals and RepairPal. I'm really excited to introduce our panelists today. And as we go through the next 30 minutes, it's going to be a panel discussion. So I'll be kind of moderating, asking a few questions, which means if you have any questions at home or in the shop, please put them in the Q&A and we'll try to get to it live either right away or at the end of the webinar. And if we can't get to it live, we promise someone from AutoVitals or RepairPal, depending on the question, will be reaching out to you or one of our shops with some expert advice. So please put your questions in the Q&A. So first off, we have John Eppstein, who you own 3 independent repair shops now in beautiful San Diego. You also are a mutual client of AutoVitals and RepairPal, and you've been a client for AutoVitals, I know, for quite some time. And then also you're on the ASCCA board of directors and also the president of the San Diego chapter. So John's quite involved in the local community here in Southern California.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And then we have Kathleen Long, who's the Chief Revenue Officer at RepairPal. And I think you've been at RepairPal now for 8 years. Is that right, Kathleen?
Almost 9. So
almost 9.
Yeah, almost 9. You know, you got to count the months in this industry. You know?
Yeah, and then lastly, but certainly not least, we have Al Harris, who's our Senior Product Advisor at AutoVitals. Al's been with us for about 5 years. And then prior to working at AutoVitals, I think you have a decade plus of experience, correct, as a store manager at an auto repair shop?
Yep. Yeah, before AutoVitals, I was using it at the shop. So it was interesting transition.
Now you get to see all the back end. So
yeah,
perfect.
Exactly.
So let's kind of start where we're at right now. I know we were just talking about we're kind of getting into busy season, right? The influx of car count. So John, kind of currently now, how are you planting the seeds with your new customers, with some of your first or second time visitors, so that they think of your shop when it comes to their next service interval while things are busy and going well?
Well, let's see. There's lots of things. There's some new technology. There's some old tricks, things like that. Key is do a great inspection. Doesn't matter how busy you are, have to do an inspection. And every car gets an inspection. Every car gets a report. Every car gets an email with, here's your inspection with, this is what needs to be now. This is what's coming. This stuff's okay. That's super important. And a lot of shops forget that, when they're super busy, we don't have time for the inspection. We don't have time for the inspection. Then all of a sudden they slow down and now they don't have any work because they quit inspecting cars. And, so the inspection is huge, recommending stuff, whether it's, like we don't really sell, we just inform people, hey, this is stuff that we recommend you do now. This is stuff we recommend you do soon. This is stuff we just want to keep an eye on. And then you kind of just help your customer make that best decision. But you need to put that stuff all out on the table. Sometimes you'll talk yourself out of work because the customer will be like, oh, it's got that much. Well, then, I need to get a different car. And if you're a good shop, you're busy, that's really okay, because that customer's coming back to see you. You can help them purchase their new car, their used car, whatever the case may be. But that's huge. And then, you got your reminders and, things like that. We get the automatic reminders that go out as long as you're logging the recommended services. So that's another important piece of it. You got to log that stuff in. So. And I could talk on this for like hours, so I'm trying to, keep it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have a couple follow-up questions on that. So I know sometimes when a shop owner hears like estimate everything and show the customer everything that's wrong, they get a little hesitant because they're just like, oh, well, when they called us, they said they just needed an oil change. And now I'm telling them in 10,000 miles, they have $2,000 to $3,000 of repair. How do you kind of coach your team to get past that hesitancy?
Well, I actually have a great story on that. So years ago, when I had one location and I had one service advisor, and we brought on a second service advisor, and he was well versed in the industry a long time, doing really well, and so we were kind of channeling the new customers to him, and we track our average ROs and things like that. And with our new customers, our average RO was around $700-800. This was probably 10-12 years ago. And we noticed with all of a sudden our new customers, our average RO dropped to like $100 in a month's time. And it's like, well, what's going on here? So, fortunately we were tracking it. And so we sat down with the advisor and said, hey, what's going on? How come well, I was taught not to sell anything to somebody, their first visit. And so I showed them that report. It's like, hey, before you started, average RO new customer, $700. And guess what? Next month we were back to $700 because we just showed him. And when you do just present stuff, people don't want to fix their car are gonna, as long as they trust you, they're gonna be okay with fixing their car. So building that relationship is huge, but you just gotta put it out there. Everybody gets the same, this is what you need now, this is what you need later, and it doesn't matter because they need to know. And we don't necessarily estimate everything. It's with your regular customers, you can just, hey, we're looking at this and this and this, and we can do this later. What are your thoughts? Okay, let me get your prices on the the stuff that you want. Newer customers, you should probably have it estimated. You don't necessarily need to present prices, but if they're asking, hey, how much is this and this, you want to be able to answer those questions. So it's kind of how I approach that stuff. So
one follow-up question on that, because I was a huge stickler for that drop-off conversation and setting the expectation, because we got similar to yours, we got a new advisor in, and they'd say, hey, you're here for your appointment, take the keys, and the customer would leave. That's it. They'd say hello. They wouldn't set any expectations for what they're going to receive as far as the inspection goes, what they should expect. So I assume, you probably have some pretty in-depth process for that, initial drop-off conversation, I assume.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We, every customer gets the talk, especially the first time, hey, while we're doing whatever, you're here for a brake job, we're going to do a complete inspection. We're going to take pictures. We're going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, just so you know what's going on. Because if you don't tell them up front, the first question out of their mouth when you call them and tell them, hey, this is what we found, they're gonna be like, well, I brought in for my brakes, why are you telling me about my water pump
exactly.
leaking?
Yeah,
So
or
yes,
sticker shock, one of the two.
Yeah, we absolutely have that conversation. Obviously our regular customers know it, they expect it. We ask for the email so we can email them a copy of the inspection. That's where we get into that part of it. It's like every car that comes in here gets an inspection from us just to make sure that what's going on with it, and that way we can keep it rolling down the road and in good shape. So
RepairPal can also help with that fair price conversation with our estimators. So we're an independent third party. And so where you have this new customer, they're not sure who's this John guy,
right?
They're not as good of friends with John as we all are. And so they don't know. And the worst thing is even a billionaire doesn't want to be ripped off. No one wants to pay more than they need to, even if they can afford it. If they can't afford it, that's probably a different conversation around, whatever financing options the shop has, but where it's really just, let me know that this is a fair price, then you can use RepairPal's estimator. You can say, well, here's the estimate range that RepairPal says is a fair price for a water pump replacement on your car. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to let you, back on the road in an unsafe situation. So I looked over your whole car. So I know you came in with a squeaking brake complaint, but I looked over your whole car to make sure, just like a doctor would when you're doing a physical, right? So there's a lot of analogies between healthcare and auto repair. But the big difference is that in auto repair, oftentimes the consumer's out of pocket versus, having medical insurance to cover it. And so the cost really becomes front and center. Plus, as we know, there's inflation going on right now in general in the economy, but also in auto repair. This is the highest escalation rate of, labor rates and, cost that has happened since 1974, which just so happens that I was born in 75. And so it's the biggest inflationary period in auto repair in my lifetime. And customers don't realize that maybe an estimate they got, a year and a half ago or something like that, that the prices are just not analogous right now. So we've had a lot of changes in the automotive industry. And so, we work very hard to do continuous updates to our estimator to keep those prices, up to date, particularly in these changing conditions.
One interesting thing too, to kind of link the two together is, you know, a lot of business, you're trying to generate new customers coming in. If you have a solid talk conversation with customers at the beginning, since you're getting a big influx of new customers, you know, maybe not want to hear it, but not every customer is the perfect customer either. And if you don't set expectations, ideally talk about, you know, the estimating process, the expectations, you know, have if they did pre-estimate at the beginning, you want to have that conversation initially. You want to be able to separate a customer that may not be your ideal clientele. If they're looking to get in, get out, don't look at anything else. There's lots of places that'll do that. May not be your ideal customer. Yep. So just to stick that point some more. So
yeah, that's a great point. 20 years ago, well, 25 years ago, when I first started, my thought was every car I needed to fix. And, yeah. And as I've gotten, we're just going to say, we're going to call it wiser. You know, we absolutely have that mentality that, you know, we're here for those that want our help but not everybody wants, you know, not everybody wants the help that we're here to give. And yes, there are shops that will just do that brake job and they don't care that the cords are sticking out of the tires and the front end's falling apart and, you know, that sort of thing. But, you know, we pride ourselves on the fact that not a lot of our customers get towed in because we take very good care of their car. They get towed in when they run out of gas because they're not paying attention, or, you know, the alternator breaks or the fuel, you know, stuff like that, the stuff that you can't take care of. But I can't tell you the last time we had a customer get towed in because they had a belt that broke or a hose that popped or something like that, you know.
Yeah. So, and if they did, they go, hey, I know you told me about this, and I ignored it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, yep. Yeah. I did notice there's Jennifer had a question real quick. We do all our recommended services, Napa Tracks. We use Napa Tracks as well. There is a place for that in there, and it actually puts it on the work order. And it actually, next time you open up a new work order for that customer, it pops up seeing that there's recommended services. So it kind of helps, you know, it helps keep that at top of mind, but you can also pull reports on it on recommended services. So
yeah, there's technically, that's option number one. Option number two, if you do have your inspection sheets set up in such a way where they really, if you have your inspection sheets vetted out and very clean and you have the correct future recommendation, immediate recommendation, you can even have your inspection sheet attach recommendations to your service reminders automatically as well. Yeah. I would recommend, if you're going to go that route, just talk to your advisor, because you do want to have a process, which we haven't gotten to yet, is exit scheduling, because you want to make sure you're reviewing the recommendations that are going to be on your service reminder before you just ship them out. That way, you know, if the air filter was kind of dirty and you ended up just doing it, you don't want that air filter recommendation to be on the service reminder next time. So it's a great tool. It'll include the photos, the pictures, everything the technician did. You just want to make sure it's accurate.
Awesome. Thank you. You're not going to get a better live answer than that, right? Straight from shop. Thank you. And Jennifer, I'll reach out to your advisor and let them know that you had that question as well, so they can reach out. So we kind of alluded to it a little bit. So right now we're busy, so it's a good time to kind of you can pick and choose your customers a little bit, having that drop-off conversation. But when times are slow, Kathleen, can you speak a little bit to how you and RepairPal kind of help generate new business? And then John and Al, you can kind of provide some insight as well. When times are tough, kind of what's that easy button that you're going to press to get some new business into your door?
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we are making it easier, although I don't want to say there's anything easy about auto repair. So this is the hardest working business I think I've ever been a part of. So I would say that to start with, but RepairPal does help by making new customer introductions. And we do that a few ways. One is through our core website, where we're focused on helping consumers who have, you know, what's known as long tail SEO searches. So they've got some complicated problem. They type that into a search bar. Oftentimes they're going to get RepairPal and our website as a result. So we make referrals and recommendations to shops on that basis. But we also have over 90 different partners, and shops that are signed up with us, part of our certified program, can create sort of what I call, you know, a menu, whatever you want us to serve you in terms of partners, we can do that. And so when you get slow, take a look at the partners that you're opted into. You know, we can add additional partners. You can give those a try. You can turn them on or off at any time. And those partners will make referrals to our shops in a variety of ways. Most of those referrals are focusing on mid to major mechanical repairs. So while we deliver the occasional oil change and things like that, we're really very focused on helping people, feel comfortable in the auto repair transaction. We're very focused on, you've got a major issue with your car, you don't know where to turn, who you can trust, who's going to give you the kind of service that John was just describing. That's a RepairPal certified shop. And so our partners partner with us on that basis. So USAA, CarMax, Consumer Reports, et cetera, are making referrals into our shops. And getting the kind of repairs that hopefully your technicians want to work on, and that are going to give you, good ARO and good return for your time. We do also have roadside programs. So while John's existing customers might not be getting towed into him very often, there are customers that haven't yet been to his shop that are broken down by the side of the road, or they've got a blown tire, some other thing. And we have a program where those will be also referred to a RepairPal shop. Those are the easiest conversions you've ever seen, because it's like the disabled car just shows up.
Great. And John, kind of from your end, what are you guys doing when times are slow to attract new customers?
We really don't change too much from slow to busy. We do the same thing that most people do, I would imagine. We have our online presence. One of the key things that I'm surprised by this, is a lot of shops don't have a good referral program. A good referral program is key to, in our industry. And it can't just be, oh yeah, people refer us. You need to ask, you need to ask your customers for referrals. When I started my referral program, when I first opened, I didn't need any new customers. I had too many. I didn't have the space. I didn't have the time. I moved to a new location where I had space and time. I had to figure out real quick how to market and advertise. I started my referral program, and I got some really strange responses from my customers. I would ask people for a referral. I used to have a certificate. Now I have it printed on the back of my card. Did a lot of research. Dollars off, huge. Don't do a percentage. People, they can't see percentages, they see dollars better. But people would say, well, you always look so busy. I didn't think you wanted more customers. Okay. Another one that kind of surprised me was, so if I refer my friends, are you still going to have time to take care of my vehicle? And that one, I can't tell you how many times I heard those two answers when I first started my program. So you have to ask the customers, and you have to have it put in place. Every customer, every happy customer. Let's stick with every happy customer. You can still get good customers from not happy customers, but it's easier to get them from happy customers. You ask them, you give them something, certificate, back of your card, whatever it is. We offer $25 off the first visit. The referrer gets a free service. One of my advisors starts, when they're checking somebody out, to say, so how'd you like to never have to pay for another oil change again? That's how he leads into the referral program, and that catches people's attention. And we've had people that haven't paid for an oil change in years because they keep referring people to us. So my thing was, I explained how the program worked. I says, okay, there's one catch to all this. And they're kind of looking at me like, oh, I knew there was a catch. It's like, well, you have to write your name legibly on the card, so I know who actually, who referred people. They're like, oh, okay. So if you have a little fun with it, that works really well. That's a huge thing. Something that I used to do, this is for all you non-technical people, I would have a year-long calendar book that I would sitting on my desk, and somebody checking them out. Okay, it looks like you drive X amount of miles, so I'm going to schedule you an appointment for you in 3 months. Okay, that's great. So I'd go write 3 months on that Monday. I'd write, Joe Brown, due for an oil change. And you do that on a consistent basis. So now 2 weeks before that time, I'm in there and I'm slow and I'm looking through my calendar and I'm like, okay, look, I got all these people that I can call because I've already told them that the appointment was going to be in June. I told them I was going to call them. So now you call them. And if you're slow, you call them 2 weeks early. Hey, Mr. Brown, are you ready? You're due for your oil change. Can I schedule you an appointment? If you're busy, maybe you wait an extra week or two and you call them a little later, you spread it out a little longer. But that gives you a huge list of people that you can call, in that time frame and try to schedule stuff. And so when I was smaller, that was something that I did, and it took the peaks and the valleys out, because I was making more calls when we're slow, less calls when we're busy, but everybody eventually got a call, and we got them worked in. But it came back to that conversation beforehand. Hey, I'm going to be calling you to remind you of your appointment, because they're not going to remember that you told them, July 16th, and you're calling them on the July 1st. They're just remember you said something, somewhere around July that you'd be calling them. So those are a couple of the things that we do. One more thing you can do if somebody comes in with, and they're not doing all the work, and you have recommended services that are hanging out there, have the advisor have a pad of paper and just write down RO numbers of people that have recommended services. And so when it slows down, they can go back, reference that, call people. You can call your any fleets that you have. It's something that we do. If we're slow, we'll call up Kaiser and say, hey, we had this huge job that we had scheduled, and they postponed it for 2 weeks, and now I had this big time slot I'm trying to fill. I just wanted to see, do you have any vehicles that you need taken care of that we can, that we can squeeze in? And that way you're not telling them that you're begging for work. You're not, you don't want to tell them that the customer canceled this big job. You just tell them it got postponed, and that works really well. A lot of times we'll get our fleets that will bring stuff in and fill those gaps too. So
now John went into can I go on a tangent real quick?
I was just about to ask you to, so perfect. Bring me to it.
Yeah. No, because John had some great tools in there, and obviously there's a lot of tools to automate some of that stuff where you get a call campaign, and since the system's automatically grabbing due dates, you can grab filters for due in 2 weeks. That's a great ripe list, like John was saying, to grab from. Once you get through that, you can get to the less ripe groups of overdue by a month or something. But it's still opportunities you can get in there and call from. And a lot of people are probably thinking, I don't want to be calling people all day. Fine, grab it as a filter and at least send some sort of campaign. Again, don't send some percentage off. People don't buy food with percentages.
Yeah,
they buy stuff with dollars and offer some sort of discount. By the way, if anyone cares, between 15 and 20 is like the minimum. I think it's closer to 20 now for a customer to like physiologically even pay attention. So don't put $5 off. You probably won't do much with that. But with that whole conversation of, okay, the customer comes in, they have their visit. We do a great job of estimating. We sell what we need to now. We estimate the rest of it so that we can, we're selling today, we're selling tomorrow. We're thinking about both. We're not just hitting home runs each day and getting one-time visit customers. Yep. Right. They come in, they get their visit. We do everything. We cash them out. They get a thank you. Sometimes those customers just sit in limbo for 6 months. If you're seeing customers 2 times a year, they don't get any communications from us before their either next appointment or their next service reminder. A great way to think about this is, I heard someone coin the term customer journey. That's not original. I think that's a pretty accurate verbal representation of what it is, but it's basically all the communications your customer is going to get in their visit, both before visit, during visit, which we've talked about extensively, and then after visit. And I think thinking about that in longer term and seeing where the gaps are, especially for new customers, because again, it's their first time visit, you're not top of mind all the time with them. If something comes up 3 months after their visit, how can we make sure that we're top of mind when they call us? So, if you've got your thank you right after you cash them out, that's the last kind of in-visit communication. How do we fill in between then, the 6-month reminder, and after that? So, I'm a huge advocate of making an automated, because I don't want to have to do it manually every time. A 2-month, just check in email after people come in and automate it. Have it go out every week for someone who came in maybe a month ago. Just to follow up, say, hey, you had your repair done a month ago. Just want to make sure car's still driving great, no issues. Who knows? They might have a new issue. They may, if it's a brand new customer, they may then bring it in for that new issue if they didn't repair everything. So it just gives you so much more opportunity. And if there is something that they're thinking about, you've now just made yourself top of mind without going into sales mode and saying, well, you've got overdue recs, come in and get that done. So and then after that, after they get the service reminder and say they ignore it, say they get it done somewhere else, you still paid a lot of money in marketing to get that new customer. Just because you didn't get them for the second time, are you going to forget about them? Well, why don't we add another touch point 9, 12 months down the road and see if we can touch them again? Maybe we can get them back.
Yep.
So I think if you put in that terms, what is my start, even before the initial customer comes in, all the way to the end, till I completely forget about the customer, they drop off and I don't care about them anymore. What's that look like? Where are my touch points in there? Don't spam them, but if you send a message every 2 months, God, I get text messages from some people every day. So don't worry about spamming them every 2 months. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a huge value point, especially if you're doing you got a new store, you're trying to push new customers, stay top of mind, have more touch points, don't sell on them. Rant over. Done.
Yeah. On that, to that point, yes, we have reminders that go out. And I don't remember what they are. We have the after the visit, how was your visit? I think we have a 3-month touch point, and then 9 months, 12 months out, you can, and 15 months out, it's a lost, it's a, hey,
Yeah.
We miss you, come back and see us type thing. One of the unique things that we do, every new customer gets a thank you letter from us. It's obviously a canned letter. It's typed out. It has a $25 coupon at the bottom. I'm not big on coupons, but that's giving the customer, a reason to come back. Now they got dollars in their pocket. They're for John's Automotive. I hand sign everyone. We have a lot of new customers. So some days I got these big old thick stacks, and then we mail them off. But we do both the, like you talk about, we do some texting, we do the reminders, we do, emails, postcards, these letters. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, whether it's all automated or, you can do both. You can do it automated. You can do it.
Yeah. Because someone like yourself, like getting in there and calling customers, handwriting notes, that is incredibly effective.
Yep.
A lot of people will have the initial roadblock of, I don't got time for that. Like, that's way too much work.
Absolutely.
Maybe they're already busy and not managing their car count. That's totally realistic. I've been there for years. I get it.
Yep.
So, yes, maybe don't see that as the only option. Maybe it's a stepped process. Get the automated stuff in place. It doesn't require work. And by the way, if you're not a wordsmith, which I am not, there is lots of AI tools out there. I don't want to go on a tangent on this, but I've written dozens of campaigns for people, and they go, oh, I want to have this, but I don't know what to say. I don't want to, yell at the customer, or they're using track, so it's all in caps. I'm like, just go into ChatGPT and type in, give me 5 quick text messages for a promo for an automotive repair shop for $20 off. Look at all 10 of them, pick the one or chop a few together. You're done. I get it. Like, we're not all marketing pros. So use the tools you have. They're free, and you can get that thing built in a couple minutes. So
RepairPal can also help there for our existing shops. We have a blog, we have a shop success center. We share content. So, those times of year where you're talking about winterizing, summer drives, specials for, Memorial Day, or, whatever the upcoming holiday is, car care tips and so on, that you can just directly, either take or link to that content for some of your communications, so that it's not just about come back to the shop. You can layer those with, here's some just useful, helpful information, because you are building a relationship. And the better you've done your job, obviously, the less you see the customer. Like, it's this, self-defeating in some ways prophecy, where you do a great job, you only see them twice a year. And so, you want to make sure that you have some cadence of communication, and that some of it is just like really helpful. I'm looking out for you. And like you say, strikes the right tone, and not everybody's a writer. So we want to help our existing shops not just get those first customer introductions, which is what we're very focused on, but then also give them support around how do they keep those. Obviously, you still need a tool for sending out, these kinds of communications, which is where this partnership is really effective. But we do help with content.
Great.
That's
And I see that we're just coming up on time. So I would just ask, just to be respectful of the audience time, because I'm sure they're all very busy. If maybe each of you just kind of had a few parting words or tips to just kind of like, if you walk away from the webinar today, like here's one or two things that I think is really important on this conversation. John, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Just real quick, I'm going to show something. This is probably my best marketing piece to my existing customers. We call it the wow card. There's different companies that make these. The $50 off offer. Every time we have our normal slow periods, we send these out right beforehand, and they come in droves. So if you're thinking about, doing something like that, this goes to people that have been in the last year, not in the last month though. And they get this, and it's $50 off, and it brings in a lot of work for us. Just if you treat your customers right and you show them the value, and you let them know that you're there for them, that goes a long ways. We don't fight with our customers over dollars and cents. We show them what's up, we give them recommendations, and we help them make the best decision for them, at the end of the day. Because if we talk somebody into doing something they don't really need, and we lose a customer, I've been in business 25 years. I still have customers that I worked on their cars 30 years ago when I worked somewhere else. And so just treat people right, take care of them, and just remember that their problems aren't always their car. So sometimes you even got to help them out with those other things. So
Al, any last takeaways?
Sure. Yeah. I'll make it a little whimsical here, but if you view your business somewhat like your kitchen, don't react. Be prepared. If you're slow on cars, it's probably because you're not meal prepping and you're just going for whatever you can see first and eating it. If that's the case, don't freak out, but try to meal prep. Have your customer journey figured out, or whatever term you want to give it. Work on that. Get that in place. Get it automated. If it's a big barrier, get your advisors involved. Get it built out. Get it, set it, forget it. Make sure your process at drop off and pick up is clear, precise, and you're hitting all those points. That's the meal prep. Now you don't have to worry next time customers are coming in. You've got that all prepared, ready to eat. You're not just grabbing chips off the shelf and taking in any customer that walks in, ignoring your appointments, all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, meal prep, do that. And in life, meal prep is great.
And Kathleen, any last takeaways? Thanks for the metaphor, Al.
Yes. And so, with that customer journey, RepairPal really is your friend. We're going to make introductions for you to new customers. We're going to help you to self-service. And then ultimately, we want to support you along that journey to help you with your repeat business, and to make sure that you're making the most of those introductions, so that you don't have a slow season, and so that you can also maximize the RO value with those mid to major mechanical repair customers who, by the way, really, really need you. They need excellent service, and they need really great shops like John's that are doing all the right things. And so, look, if that sounds like you, then we would love to hear from you.
Great.
Thanks for putting this on, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you, John, for you're a great customer. We are so happy to have you, and you're so good to everyone in the industry. I always see your emails in the ASDCA channel. So thank you, Kathleen, for joining us, and thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.